Hello and welcome back to another episode of Supercoach Insider. My name is Ben and thank you for joining me for my round 7 team reveal. This is what my team is looking like at the moment, going through the changes that I think I'm going to make and go from there. If you don't like us already, please like, subscribe, do all of that funny business and share some love. You can also find us on our socials, SC Insider 100, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Get on there, give us some likes, and obviously we also do our audio platforms as well for our podcasts each week, so join us there or look for us as well on YouTube. You can find our podcast through there as well. So for this week, let me go back and show you. I had a decent week, as you can see, 2,391. I am now ranked 131st, so trying to catch George Supercoach. I think I'm only about 40 points behind him. I think he's killing it as well in 70-odd. Bit of an indifferent week for me. I went the early crow. As you know, Chris has criticized me for him before, so I did really well. I'm looking at making a couple of moves. Stupidly, though, I went the early crow and I traded Josh Kelly. So I was loving life. Josh Kelly sputtered it up so hard. I was like, he is not my problem anymore. He's not in my side. I don't have to think about Josh Kelly anymore. He's done, out of my side, gone, finito, celebrating his crappy-ass score. And then, wouldn't you know it, I brought in Lachie Neale, and Lachie Neale gets injured. That's a moment's silence for those playing at home. Really upset, but look, you know, it is what it is. It could happen to anyone. You bring in any premium, they could always go down at any week. He was at a good price, Lachie Neale. He was at a good time, and I just, obviously, bad luck that he did his ankle. So that's the issue I'm in at the moment. I've counted 7 trades that I kind of need to make to fill my side. Ideally, I want to do 3 before the buys and then use my last trades in the buy rounds to do 4 trades. That's kind of what I'm thinking at the moment. Now, we're about to do a massive podcast going up with Lachie Neale and Dunkley options. I'm going to explain what I'm kind of looking at the moment and what I'm sort of thinking of doing for this week. It is a little bit challenging. So let's get into it. Now, Happy Ridley came back. My player of the match, my MVP, Kosicki, right? Killed it, 104. What a week to have him on field. I needed him to be named. So thank God, Ridley, for you having a week off, mate, because my rookies just stood up and got me a premium score. So extremely happy with that. Who else did I bring in? So I brought in Lachie Neale and McCreary. McCreary was the one. I went a little bit early on McCreary. I had to if I wanted him. Only because Collingwood have some easy games coming up. I felt that, you know, yes, his role's not great, but if you play some weaker oppositions, he probably has more chance to kick some goals and you know, score some 60s. That was my train of thinking. It also meant that I was able to actually loophole Rowe as well. So lucky I got to see his score, and then I could use Waterman as a loophole. Not happy Waterman was out, but all reports Waterman actually had a pretty good game and kicked some goals, so he could be back at some point, hopefully soon. So instead of taking the 27 from Rowe, I actually got to then get a free roll, basically. McCreary got 20 points more than that, so that was a nice little boost. Not a huge boost. I wish he went bigger, but, you know, 2 goals from McCreary, I think he'll stay on. There's not many rookies out this week, so that's the big issue for me, and I have bigger issues. Dunkley and Neale are my outs. Now, here's what I'm thinking. Now, every single person should be looking at, do they have McRae, Oliver, Walsh, etc., and Steele, and you want to bring in the one you don't have. If you have multiple and you have Neale and Dunkley, then I'd be trying to get those in because I think they are must-haves. Now, I could go Lachie Neale straight to Steele. I think that would work out quite well. However, what I am thinking of doing is because the Dogs play first, I'm kind of looking to see maybe how Scott goes so I can then try and see how I want to restructure my side. So what I will be doing, first of all, is going Dunkley out of my side. I think I'm going to take Scott down into the forward line, and I'm going to bring in Jack Steele. Now, Jack Steele for me, I think, is a no-brainer for those who don't have him, and the reason is, yes, he's been pretty consistent this year, hasn't gone too crazy the last couple of rounds. However, I'll explain why. Now, when you have a look at who they're playing Hawks, Gold Coast, Geelong for the next 3. Then they play Bulldogs, North Sydney, Adelaide. So what do you have? Hawthorn, pretty weak midfield. They leak points. Gold Coast have a weak midfield at the moment. Geelong, they don't really tag. They're probably more matchup dependent at the moment now that actually, It could be interesting. Danger's out, so maybe we'll see there. But either way, I think Steele will be fine. He gets contested ball and tackles, so he's not really a threat to being tagged, I don't think. North Melbourne again, weak midfield. Dogs will go set their matchups there. Sydney, I think he'll be fine in that matchup, in Adelaide. So let's say Hawthorn, Gold Coast, North Melbourne, and Adelaide. That's 4 pretty easy matchups in the next 7 rounds. I honestly think he's going to average you 130 over the next 7. That's my opinion. That's why I'll be going with him. I'm thinking about going him first up, so that way it frees up some options. I get to sort of see how Scott goes to start with and sort of go from there. Also, lucky, I kept Kaczynski, I kept Jordan, so good points there. Also, they're going to be going up in price. I've got most of the rookies going up in price. I don't think I've really missed one yet, which probably bodes well for me in my rank at the moment. The only thing against me at the moment is my trades, but when you are trying to rank well and you're around that 100 mark, you kind of just got to keep pushing on and hope for some luck. There's no point playing it safe. If you run out of trades, you do, and you just hope you have a big enough lead to kind of hold on and you don't get floored at the end. And today is brought to you by Peroni Legera, crisp, clean, less than a standard, nice and delicious. Flynn for me is also a worry. I don't know how many. I'm waiting for him to play one more game. I'm going to cash him in soon, guys. It's a must-do for me. I think Mumford is proving to probably be their number one option. It would not surprise me if Mumford gets named this week. He had a week off. And Bruce is also coming back probably around that round 14 or so. So there's no guarantee. Those keeping Flynn to try and have bye coverage, etc. No guarantee he actually plays that round, because not only is he competing against Mumford around that sort of round 14 sort of mark, Bruce is also due to come back, and that does not bode well. So I'm looking to move him on, another price rise or so, get him over that 300k. We'll see how we go. It depends on how he scores in the next game, and I'm looking to upgrade him as soon as possible. Hopefully Berry gets named. I think a lot of people are having issues with rookies at the moment. Rowe could also get dropped. If Waterman's also gone, it's going to be interesting. Scott and McCreary should be playing, so no issues there. Warner, I think, is chipping along. I'd like to keep him till the buys. Goulden, I think, needs to be upgraded soon. That 38. I think his time on ground's getting lower. His break-even's now starting to creep. He could start dropping some massive cash. Break-even is 78. So for me, I'm going to probably keep him for this week, and I'm looking at moving him to a premium next week. Now, this is where the thoughts start to differ a little bit. I've got enough cash. I've got 180,000 in my bank. If I go, say, Lockie Neal, and I bring in someone for around 550k or less, I could go Goulden to Tom Mitchell next week. Now, I know Titch hasn't started off very well, but he started increasing his tackles last week. That's a good sign. He's got a lot of the ball. He just hasn't been disposing of it well. Let's not forget he had shoulder issues. His knee feels pretty good now. It's coming pretty good. He had some shoulder issues. So I think that'll come with confidence. Last year, he averaged like 120 in the back end of the year once he got through the first sort of half a dozen games. I'm hoping it's something similar this year. Now, yes, we hope. We're all in that position where we kind of have to take risks and take chances. I can't see it being a bad decision to get Tom Mitchell for less than 500,000 at all. He would have dropped more than 100,000. I think you just back him in to regain that pick status and to start hitting the ball a bit better. That's in his realm. I am thinking about doing that over, say, a Brayshaw. Now, Brayshaw's advantage is he can run all day. He's less at the moment. He is going up in price. Brayshaw has had a couple of better games. I think he's had 4 scores now over 117. So that's really nice and consistent. I am looking at him there. Downside, though, is he's had 2 games underneath, like tagged, really bad. I think one was a 66, got kept down by Kernow. If Kernow can keep you down, then that's an issue. That issue for me is multiplied by the fact that they actually play Hawthorn and Carlton again later in the season. Now, considering I'm going for overall, you would use that history bias to say, hey, it worked well last time, so chances are that he's going to get tagged again. Maybe he'll be better prepared. Maybe he'll get you a 90 or 100, or maybe he'll shit the bed. Pardon my French. So I am concerned about bringing him in. I think it could be a bad decision. If he's going to get 2 more tags at least, it's an issue. On the flip side, he's got more hundreds than Titch. So, take your pick. One is a premium that's dropped a lot of cash, and the other one, you could say breakout, but he kind of broke out last year, Brayshaw. Is he capped at a 105, though? I think he might be. I think that consistency is not there. I think Titch has the potential to go higher. For me, if I go a 550k forward or a midfielder this week, then that frees up Goulden to Titch. So I am looking everywhere, and you'll have to check the next podcast as well on my options here. But I'm looking at Dane Zorko. I'm looking at side bottom. I'm looking at I've got Marshall as well. So St Kilda, Marshall. Now, it's an interesting one. Marshall, Paddy Ryder's meant to come back this week. Marshall probably plays forward. Will Saints be better and win games with that scenario in that matchup? Possibly. If I want to see stats, though. I want to see data. I want to see Marshall playing with Ryder again, because Saints aren't winning games. So I don't want to pick a forward in a crappy team that aren't going to get the bigger chunk of the pie. That's my concern. And yes, you say, oh, he did it last year. But yes, they won games last year. They played finals last year. They were competitive last year. I want to see it. I want to see that turnaround. I want to see his percentage of ruck time. I don't want to pick him. He's got a fairly high break even. 550k for a forward ruck who has bad leg issues or foot, which could flare up at any minute. Zorko, again, old, had foot issues. He said he's going to have to manage it. He's doing well so far. They threw him back into the midfield this week. Is that going to help him score well? Possibly. They also play Gold Coast coming up. Is Tuke Miller going to tag Zorko like he has done before? Possibly. These are all the things going through my mind. So I'm trying to work out matchups and trying to juggle the buy scenario at the moment and try and work out that best ratio for my team. But if I get someone under 550k, I can go Goulden to Titch. So therefore, I'm turning Neil and Dunkley into 3 premiums. 3 trades. That's the scenario. Now, if you're in a similar situation and maybe you've missed some rookies, or you got rid of Jordan, you got rid of Kaczynski, you're losing some cash there, not a bad option to go best available. Bring in some cheaper options and fill out your team. Instead of having 2 premiums, can you stretch it to 3? Is a possible option there. But rule of thumb, I think if you don't have McRae, Steele, Walsh, or Oliver, you need to pick at least the one you're missing, or multiple if you have multiple. So that's it. I'm not too fussed on going down to McRae Jr. this week. I don't think he's a must-have. Yes, he could come out and absolutely blow up the box over with some cheap opposition the next few weeks, but I don't think he's a must-have. He hasn't set the world alight. He's a slightly more expensive rookie anyway to begin with. I don't think he's a must-have. I don't think it's worthwhile to go from a premium down to a rookie for this week. I think you can move on him and hopefully some more rookie sharp guys, because at the moment they're stretched. There's not many there. So VC and C options this week. I'm probably going VC McRae, trusty McRae, into Gawn. They both have really good history against their opponents. So let's have a look at McRae. Boy, he's killing it. Let's have a look. Against Richmond, he's gone 162, 107, 163. How could you not want to VC him? I think that's a really good option there. Also, Steele. When do they play? That's going to be an interesting one. Steele against his opponent, not as great, but I actually see him doing well this week. I think history says he's actually a recent performer. So, and Gawn as well, always performs against Goldstein. Always. And let's have a look at that history there. Didn't play him the back end of 2020, but 212, 117 are his last couple. So I think he is a nice, safe option for those Gawn owners. And that's it. That wraps me up. Check out Chris's team as well, guys. Follow us, like us, subscribe, and stay tuned for our podcast. If you want more in-depth analysis on your Zorkos, your Heaney's, your side bottoms, all those other players as to who you would pick and why to replace those injured premiums. And that's it. Talk to you next time. Bye.